different denominators. If the denominators do not match, we need to find the least common denominator. And so what we're going to do is we're going to multiply the denominators by the missing factors. And then we're going to multiply the numerators by the same factors. And if we do not know the least common denominator, which is what we call it LCD, you can always multiply the two denominators together. And the reason that we multiply the top and the bottom number in each fraction is to keep the fraction the same value. So let's go over this. What does that really mean, right? If you have, say, 2 over 4 and you want to multiply it by 3 over 3, right? We're multiplying the top and the bottom by the same number. So we got 2 times 3, so that's 6. 4 times 3, and that's 12. So 6 over 12 is also 1/2. So it does not change the value because we just multiplied it by 1, essentially, because 3 over 3 is 1. Example 1. A local restaurant sells 2 different burger sizes. One burger is 1/3 pound, and the other burger is 1/2 pound. So find the difference between the two. So what we're going to go, let's just rewrite this. We have 1/2 minus 1/3. So if we look at these, 2 and 3, we notice our least common denominator between these two, based upon the multiples, right, if we were to do this, right, so it's going to be our 6. So what we're going to do, right, because we want to have the least common denominator between the two in order to go ahead and subtract, we're going to go ahead and multiply the second term by 2 over 2, and then the first time by 3 over 3. So we do the number 3 over 3 because it's really just multiplying 1/2 by 1, right? Because if we change this, 3 times 1, right, so we multiply the top, we get 3, and then we put it over 6. And we go ahead and subtract, right? 1 times 2, well, that would be 2. 3 times 2, right, is 6. So this is still 3 over 6 is still 1/2, so that's why we can multiply it by 3 over 3, right? And then this 1/3 is really still the same as 2/6, right? It's just a different way to represent it. But now we can actually go ahead and subtract because we have a common denominator. So we have 3/6 minus 2/6, right? Well, we keep our denominator, but we're going to go ahead and go 3 minus 2, so that's 1. So the difference between them is 1/6, right, pound. Now let's go ahead and look at the next example. So example 2. On one winter day, there was 5/16 inches of snow that fell in the morning and an additional 1/4 inches in the afternoon. So what is the total snow accumulation? So we're going to use the following below. So we have 5 over 16 plus 1/4. So this is when we can see that actually our least common denominator is going to be the 16, right? So if we were, right, to do with the multiples, right, we can go 4, 8, 12, and 16, and then 16 starts out with 16. So this is our least common denominator, so we're going to go ahead and just multiply the second term by 4 over 4, right? And another way to kind of show you, right, 1, 2, 3, 4, right, you can kind of see the pattern, right? So 4. So now we have 5 over 16, we'll just drop that down, plus, well, we multiply what's on the top and we multiply what's on the bottom, right? So we're left with 1 times 4, 4, 4 times 4, 16. Then we go ahead and just add the top together. So 5 plus 4, well, that's 9. And then over 16. So that would be our solution. So now let's go ahead and look at the next example. So example 3. So notice we're going to have 3 different terms. And so we're going to approach it the same, right? We're just going to find our least common denominator and work left to right. So let's go ahead and rewrite this. 2 over 4 minus 5 over 12 plus 2/3. So our least common denominator between all of these is going to be 12, right? And we can go ahead and just go ahead and look at these, right? So 3, 6, 9, 12, 4, 8, 12, and then 12 is just starting out with 12. Our least common denominator, which is our least common multiple, right, is another way to think about it, but because it's the denominator we're looking at, we call it least common denominator, is going to be 12. So we're going to multiply the first term, the first fraction, by 3 over 3. So then we can get 12 on the bottom. The second term, we're not going to do anything with. We can leave it as is. And the third term, we're going to multiply it by 4 over 4. Then we multiply what's on the top, right? And then we multiply what's on the bottom. So let's go ahead and do that from left to right. 3 times 2, well, that's 6 over 12 minus 5 twelfths plus 2 times 4 is 8, and then that's over 12. Then we're going to go ahead and work left to right. Right, so 6 minus 5, well, that's 1, right? And then plus 8, well, that would be 9 over 12. Now notice if this is 9 over 12, we can actually reduce this, right? We can go ahead and divide by 3 on the top and bottom, right? So 9 divided by 3, that's equal to 3. 12 divided by 3, that's 4. So that would be our solution. Now let's go ahead and do the last example. So example 4, we're going to solve the following. We have negative 11 over 12 minus 1, 6. So our least common denominator is going to be 12 here. So we're just going to go ahead and multiply the second term by 2 over 2, right? So that would get us to bring down just the first term, minus 1 times 2, multiply the top, right? So that's 2. 6 times 2 is 12. So now we have a common denominator, and that allows us to now go ahead and solve. So we have negative 11, right? As we just did we're just dealing with the top, right? Because we're going to keep our denominator as 12. I'm going to rewrite this right here because it's going to be negative. So we have negative 11 minus 2, so that's going to be negative 13. So now we have negative 13, right, over 12 as our solution.